Close your mind to all
Close your
negative
mind and
thinking.
get back on track. Little things. We'll give you some ideas here. Now, please do not be intimidated by my artwork because I've had minutes of training. All right. This is your boat. All right. Dan's been teaching you how to get from point A to point B. So the setting of your goals, that's your vessel that's going to get you from one side to the other. It's the limiting beliefs that are coming into the picture that are creating little leaks. And the bigger or the stronger the emotion attached to that limiting belief, the bigger the hole. Now, has anybody ever abandoned the goal, gave up on it? The leaks are what cause it. So it's like abandoning the ship. So what we need to do, there's ways of plugging these leaks, which is one of the ways is to be increasing the faith. By increasing faith, we plug leaks. Now, the sail, we took in terms of when Dan was talking about the people in your life, whether they're positive, whether they're negative. It's the positive people that are going to be filling the sails. So I always tell you, you want to have at least 5 more positive sources in your life than you do have negative. So if they're not in your immediate world, then you start to bring them in. That's all that's going on is you recognize I need that and I'm going to do something about
Mastermind.
it. We'll give you an example of the conditioned response. A lot of champions in this room. A lot of you guys have great conditioned responses. You just need to add more of them. I'll give you an example of Dan, championship mentality. When I shared with him during our practice session the 4 truths, new truths, he saw the value in it and he immediately made it part of his system. All right, so that's all you're looking for is I want conditioned response and guaranteed me to give you these things. So back to we'll use the reticular activating system. Anybody here know any really negative people? Mm-hmm. All right, and what is their RAS set for? What's wrong? And again, if you go looking for it, there are certain people in your world. So I know this one young lady. Her and the truth have never been in the same room at the same time. So I avoid her as much. I limit my time around her, and I make sure I'm bringing in outside sources. It could be from a book. It could be from a mastermind. Your job is just to make sure that you're getting there. Has anybody ever heard of a fellow named Brian Tracy?
Yep.
All right. One of our heroes. Now, he wrote a book called Eat the Frog. And he's in there, he says that there are approximately 2% of the population can work unsupervised. Now, I can't verify that statistic, but if we attach it to what Earl Nightingale said, that out of 100 people, by the time they hit 65, only 5% have achieved any real level of success. So we'll be generous and we'll go with the slightly larger number here. So there's a good chance, well, if you take a look at this group here, the one thing that they have in common is they're self-accountable. They can hold themselves on track. So there's a chance that maybe some of us aren't in that group, which means we are now in the 95%. All right, let's say that you find out that you're in the 95%. What is this? What is hearing that?
It's an event.
It's just an event. So how do you respond to it to get a different outcome? So if I realize, I'm in the 95%, well, I should probably do something about that. I'll give you an example. How many people here have already figured out, since you've got a chance here to know me this morning, that I come from a background of being incredibly shy? You'd better put a gun to my head before I'll speak to 2 people in a room, let alone this many people. You got that already? Yeah, I came to that conclusion when I was younger. Is that a good way to go through the world? No. So I did something about it, right? So if you find there's something lacking, your response becomes do something about it. So again, there are ways of changing this. So one of the ways that we were talking about of increasing faith and getting out of the 95%, Dan mentioned watchdog. When I wrote my first novel, okay, I did not have a history of holding myself accountable to get something that big done, so I connected with somebody to be my watchdog. So one of the ladies I worked with at the time generously volunteered. All she had to do was accept paper, but she generously volunteered to, every Monday morning I had to hand her 5 typed pages of my book. And we did this every week until the book was done, right? Because I didn't want to show up without my typed pages. So watchdog program. Others, Dan talked about it already, you can work with a coach. The idea of a coach is, and there's some great coaches in here. They will hold you accountable until you achieve it. And some coaches you're going to find they may be more excited about your goal than you are, and they will hold you on track. Next thing you can do is you can work with a mentor. Now, I've worked with mentors before, and so have other people. What you tend to find is mentors are typically volunteer They offer to be, so it's not so much that you go out asking somebody to, they tend to come the other way. And the last one Dan talked was the mastermind. And one of the reasons Dan had you come up with at least 3 areas of strengths, because sometimes people think the mastermind group is a good idea, they just don't think that they have anything that they could offer the group, which is completely wrong, because the energy that comes, anybody here ever done brainstorming? And it's amazing where the energy and the ideas come from, but it has to come from many different sources. All right, people will do this. Now, from a facilitator's point of view, you stand at the front of the room, you give an assignment, which is the event, and then we watch the responses people have to them. Now, some people in my workshops, it's funny, given an assignment, they sit down and they immediately start doing something. Others, I give them the assignment, and all of a sudden, they're very thirsty. They need water. No, I need to freshen my coffee. I need to go to the bathroom. No, I need to, these papers aren't straight. Oh, these pens should be more organized over here. What are we starting to see?
Distraction.
Distraction. We call those actually avoidance behaviors. All right? What kicks in is their avoidance behavior. And you know, if you've ever done this yourself, you know you have something that needs to be done, and all of a sudden you're not doing it. You find yourself doing something else. So on your page, on page 7 there, is what I want you to do underneath your avoidance behavior section. I've given you 11 for whatever reason. 11 is a good number. I want you to write down 3 of your common avoidance behaviors that kick in for you when you know you should be doing something. So get you to write that down for me, please.
There.
Yep.
Can you hand that water to me again? Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, and very quickly, what I'm going to get you to do is share it with a partner this time. Unless there's 3 of you, then you share it with the 3 of you. Share your 3 avoidance behaviors that you wrote down.
Crackbook, email, internet. Kill ya. Yeah, it's an avoidance habit. We've all done that. That's why it's so funny.
Okay, I will interrupt you at this point. How many people here have ever been interrupted? All right, yes, no. Very good. These are called distractions. Now, Dan gave us an excellent example of it when this thing went off. All right, because what happens when you get interrupted or you get distracted, it can break up your momentum. And then you got to regroup and come back again. So we all have distractions going on. Give me some examples of distractions in your world. Telephone. Kids?
People coming into your office.
People coming in the office. So you wonder with people with an open door policy. Okay, that's an interesting concept. Okay. So they happen. The trouble is when they do come in, they happen to us, and we allow ourselves to get knocked off track. Then we have to try to get. That's what we're keeping that 1 step forward, 2 steps back kind of thing going on. So what you need to do is we have distractions, but if you're not managing them, they're managing you. So you put together a distraction management program. Anybody ever heard of Stephen King?
Yes.
Yeah, prolific writer. His management program was, I'm writing for X amount of hours, nothing interrupts me short of severed limbs or somebody dying, and you can see the result. John Grisham, same thing, very busy lawyer, would come into his office, again, nobody allowed to interrupt him until his work was done. So we need to have that same concept. So if you're not somebody that can handle the interruptions and put things in place, then you just put a strategy in place. All you're doing is you're recognizing, oh, that's a distraction, or same thing, oh, that's an avoidance behavior. get back on track. So you just need to start recognizing it. So you could do what we call the another 5 minutes program or exercise, which is you get yourself a timer, one that looks like a man here, all right. Set it for 5 minutes and then get back on task. And then go deal with that distractions after 5 minutes. And when you're comfortable with 5 minutes, then you bump it to 6 to the point where you are fully in charge of whatever distractions is going on, right? And when you got that feeling that you're in charge, what happens to your faith? It goes up. Everything's just about for cranking that up. One of the other things that we're going to get you to do, remember, this is all about action. Now, there are 3 types of actions that you're looking at. Okay, you have inspired or determined action, you have inaction, and you have wrong action. Every one of those things will create results. But again, some will create the results that you're looking for. Your job is simply to recognize it. So other things, Dan talked about your goals. What I would recommend that you do is you write that goal out every day. It's not a matter of reading. Reading and writing are 2 completely different functions.
Why do you write it? What's the
Writing
purpose?
makes it real. All right, if I threaten you, that's one thing. If I write the threat out, which one's taken far more seriously? Again, the writing makes it real. So write it out every day, and then it just keeps solidifying it for you.
For a minimum of 30 days.
Minimum of 30 days. Just because you're conditioning yourself to be seeing yourself as someone who sets and achieves goal. That becomes your truth. You can never be knocked off from that. Right? So you're building your faith along this line. And every time you finish writing out the goal, you now attach on there one measurable step that you will take this day. Because otherwise, again, it just kind of stays out there. It's something that, and then you record your progress. That's why you've got your book. Record the progress. Every time you see progress, what happens to your faith? The faith goes up, and again, you see yourself doing this over and over again. Does this make sense?